What's good? What's good? It's your man Shirley King. Tell you what it do. And it's 5 o'clock in the morning. Where you gonna be? Outside on the corner. You better get yourself together. On that. What y'all know about that? But anyway, this is another special story. HHN, and we're about to talk about the islands of the elites, and what is the purpose of all this shit. So we're gonna break this shit down early in the morning. So shouts out to everybody coming through. And shouts out to for everybody that's gonna watch this on the replay game. So replay game, but Grand Rising.
Could it be that the disembodied spirits that inhabit the waters of the earth desire a new body, similar to the one they had before the great destruction of the old world?
Oh yeah, by the way, before I start this, I get this from the channel Shattered Paradise. From Shattered Paradise channel. Fair use, educational purposes only, but even though they might give me a strike or might throw a checkbox under my video, but we already know how the game go. Freedom of speech is dead. But these motherfuckers can get away with putting a nice collage together. Ain't that a bitch? But I can't say the truth. Ain't that a motherfucker? But anyway, I digress.
Similar to how Epstein turned Little St. James into his own perverted playground, Diddy would take women to the Caribbean on yachts where there was alleged illicit activity.
Yeah. Very first time. Yeah, I have an island.
Yeah, they laughing about it. This is Diddy admitting that he has an island, the Love Island.
This is just for inspirational motivation and use of zone. You know what I'm saying? You don't know a lot of black men that come from the hood that got an island. I got an island, it's called Love Island. So when I took you to Love Island, and then you realize that, you know, the plane landed and then we had to float to another island. What was going through your head when we were going there?
Nygaard owns homes all over the world, including this huge estate in the Bahamas, where he's entertained Britain's Prince Andrew.
Little St. James off the coast of St. Thomas was privately owned by Epstein, and you can only get to this island by helicopter or private boat.
73 acres of pure paradise. Necker is one of the British Virgin Islands. And for Sir Richard Branson, founder and CEO of the Virgin Group, it's the place he calls home.
They say love is blind. Blind.
Take over your mind. Now they're about to get off into a trailer. I'm about to fast forward this real quick. So what is the mark? Yeah, Shannon Tatum got a new movie called Blink Twice. And I didn't want to play all this bullshit. But it's a movie called Think Twice, and Channing Tatum is playing a guy that's a high elite nigga, and he got his own island, and there's some black chicks on the island, and she gotta solve mysteries and try to get the fuck out of that bitch. But let me get to the way my spot was at. All right.
Though the general public sees the Caribbean islands as solely a vacation destination full of sun, crystal water, and good times, For the majority of the full-time residents of these islands, life is far from a vacation.
While exact figures vary, the majority of the Caribbean population is of African descent. In many Caribbean countries, the Black population constitutes over 70% of the total population, making Afro-Caribbeans the dominant ethnic group in the region.
While the reality of what the elites are truly doing on these Caribbean islands is so beyond what your average American can comprehend, it confirms there's validity in the phrase, truth is stranger than fiction.
1 hour and 42 minutes. As we have covered in the past, the number 42 holds considerable spiritual significance for these Masonic illuminists, symbolizing gateways for profound change and transformation.
It's the explosive lawsuit that's prompted comparisons to Jeffrey Epstein and the island where he's alleged to have molested young girls. But this case involves a well-known fashion executive. Lisa Guerrero traveled to his Caribbean compound where a number of women claimed they were victims of what they call a sex trafficking ring.
He's a Winnipeg fashion icon.
Peter Nygaard.
Peter Nygaard.
Peter Nygaard.
If I felt any better, I'd be dangerous.
Peter Nygaard. Look him up. Peter Nygaard. Nygaard.
Stem cell technology that Peter and I are investing in is called SCNT, which takes the egg of a young, perfect woman specimen, takes the egg and takes out the nucleus and puts our DNA in the nucleus. They just go ahead and take it out.
Painful, right? Is it painful?
Yeah, and this is part of this genetic greatness that we don't see in any other race on the planet. These curvy, sexy black women from Africa. You girls have a kind of a monopoly on this genetic perfection, and we want some of that.
Yeah, but they laughing about it too. We want some of your melanin. We want your organs. We want your blood. Hashtag Occupy the Getty. You know we gotta fight that front line too. They're harvesting everything. And then we go back to the Bobby Hemmett lectures and talk about the melanin and why they are extracting our melanin. Yeah. These motherfuckers want to live forever. There was a movie called Jupiter Ascending. The chick was bathing in our blood and getting healed. Becoming perfecto.
They bought about $60,000 of eggs. Yeah. So if you have an abortion, that's very valuable. The umbilical cord, you know, the placenta, your period blood is so rich with stem cells.
You hear what that motherfucker just said? Peter Nygaard. That motherfucker was just saying that abortions are great. We need those umbilical cords and that blood. Reptilian. Reptilian.
Thomas is in the middle of what appears to be an international human smuggling operation believed to be linked to the sale of human organs.
When there was a priority for drugs, now the biggest business is human trafficking. Selling organs. Let's get real now.
In the Bahamas?
Oh, yes.
Human trafficking and selling organs in the Bahamas?
In the Bahamas.
We regard it as waste, and it actually should be. It should be captured as recycled, and it shouldn't go to waste. It's life for somebody else. It's life for mankind.
It's life for us, you know, and it's life for mankind. Mankind. That's what that motherfucker just said. Mankind. Again, you know, his kind, the reptilian kind. That's what that kind is. Mankind, really?
Our investigation indicates that Nygaard has impregnated numerous women, girls, intentionally, paid for their abortion, got the stem cells, injected them into himself to further his life, believing that's the fountain of youth. He wants to live forever.
That's, you know what's crazy? How come Peter Nygaard gets to live off the stem cells and the blood and all the other shit, but Christopher Reeves, the Superman, can't? This nigga was suffering in that goddamn motherfucking winter. So I'm like, man, come on, man, get that nigga some stem cells, nigga, some real ones. They get that nigga some artificial stem cells. That nigga gone, bro. But Peter Nygaard gets to motherfucking roam this bitch, Diddy bopping all through these hoes.
The best eggs are 16 to 18 years old. Those are the best eggs. As you get older, your eggs get weaker and weaker.
According to a new report published in the New York Times, Epstein wanted to use the ranch for controlled breeding, using his DNA to improve humanity. Citing 2 award-winning scientists and an advisor to large companies and wealthy individuals, the article reports Epstein surrounded himself with leading scientists and would tell them he wanted to have 20 women impregnated at a time on the ranch.
In a recent interview on
This nigga Epstein was a monster.
Iconic, Juliette Bryant, who was kidnapped by Jeffrey Epstein for 2 years.
You know, and I still want to know why exactly I was taken there, because there's a lot more weird stuff going on.
Yeah, there is a lot of more weird stuff going on, and we have to dive deeper in this. We already know they're taking organs and melanin extraction, man, but who was y'all feeding? That's what I want to know. Who's the reptilian deity that's underground, chained up, being fed scraps of adrenochrome hot pockets and shit?
The kind of cloning DNA part that he was obviously transhumanism that he was interested in. Did that come up anywhere? Did you see any signs?
Well,
I mean, obviously there's scientists.
I'm just going to put it out there right now. I woke up in a laboratory there one night.
Wow.
You know, these are the things I haven't wanted to talk about because it's frightening.
Her name is Juliette Bryant. She look cool.
But there were scientists there, you know, and I woke up one night in a laboratory, paralyzed and naked on a table.
Damn.
I would.
She was paralyzed, naked on a table. God damn, Juliette, I would love to see you naked on the bed, but not paralyzed though. I like how she got her hair. You know, you can tell she's a model. Mrs. Juliette Bryant, and I love her accent. She can get it. She can get it.
I'd like to be lie detected on this. You know, there are other weird things that I saw. I saw Epstein shift in front of my eyes. It was very, very frightening, and it's just something that I had to explain to myself because I saw him turn into something.
You saw him turn into something.
Glenn Max.
Okay. Epstein did not, you know what, to himself. This nigga transformed and broke out of his cell. And shit, what the fuck? And plus, due to the shape-shifting so-called technology that they have, I hear that the shit do kind of knock out cameras and make shit blurry, allegedly. That can explain why the cameras are out. Shape-shifted to a reptilian and escaped. Or shape-shifted to a reptilian and just walked out the back door. Hop into his private jet in his reptilian form and say, "Give me this shit, Rick." Reptile wins. Flawless victory.
Well, he's founder and president of the Terramar Project, a nonprofit whose mission is to create a global ocean community to protect and promote sustainable development of the ocean.
Ghislaine Maxwell was fascinated by Atlantis. She was part of a network of people who were attempting to excavate Atlantis and reconstruct its knowledge. I mean, you know, she was an expert diver, so her and Jeffrey Epstein had this submarine called Atlantis, the Atlantis submarine.
Wow. She's an expert diver, and her and Epstein got a submarine. God damn. Guess what just Lane and Epstein at right now, nigga. Let's just say Lane try to break that nigga out of some shit. She's like, I'm an expert diver. I got our submarine on the ready. They jumped out that shit on some prison break shit.
And not only would she be diving on Atlantean ruins in the Caribbean and Bahamas region, scientists specializing in things like quantum gravity and gene splicing were being taken down in the Atlantis submarine is because she was also interested in reconstructing the knowledge of that civilization.
Yeah, I bet y'all didn't know Ghislaine Maxwell was on that type of time. These billionaires got nothing else better to fucking do but to do some gene manipulation. So you wonder, yeah, what is all this trafficking for? They're doing some genetic manipulating on the island of Dr. Monroe Epstein shit.
New reporting from the New York Times outlines numerous meetings between Gates and Epstein and a conversation with Bill and Melinda Gates' foundation, a connection between their foundation and JP Morgan to set up a charitable fund that would financially benefit Epstein.
It's an island called Memba, and it's owned by Bill Gates. It's a private island also, and you cannot get on the island. You get a big fine if you try to get on the island, but you have some of the best snorkeling just outside of the island, so that's what we will be doing now. And also, you can see dolphins around this island. We passed by Bill Gates' private island. There's a hidden resort in the middle, in between the green areas, but you can't see it from any angle. Some local people have told me that Bill Gates comes with a helicopter sometimes and lands in the middle of the island.
The article reports Epstein surrounded himself with leading scientists.
But there were scientists there, you know, and I woke up one night in a laboratory, paralyzed and naked on a table.
Scientists specializing in things like quantum gravity and gene splicing were being taken down in the Atlantis submarine, and not only would she be diving on Atlantean ruins in the Caribbean and Bahamas region, ruins in an area where Edgar Cayce claimed that Atlantis was located.
The person who really put Atlantis back on the map was the extraordinary, self-proclaimed psychic, Edgar Cayce. He claimed that he had visions of a continent which had gone through 3 major periods of physical division, leaving it as a group of islands, probably in the Caribbean. Cayce predicted that proof of the existence of Atlantis would be found in the Bahamas in 1968 or 1969. And sure enough, in 1968, pilots flying over the island of Bimini spotted this structure from the sky. 1,600 yards of stone organized into what is now referred to as the Bimini Road. Some believe it is an ancient man-made breakwater which enclosed a harbor. Years later, another similar structure was found off the island Andros. This was dubbed the Andros Road.
The ground plan of the garden in the Zorro Ranch, that Epstein had, it's in the concentric ring pattern that Plato described as the ground plan of the city of Atlantis. There was a statue of Poseidon and a statue of Atlas. So it was the Atlantean temple that Epstein had on one end of his island, on Little St. James.
Ever since man realized that his life was finite, the human race has been fascinated with the idea of extending their lifespan, or even achieving immortality. The legend of the Fountain of Youth has been around for hundreds of years, but it all started with the Emerald Tablet. Written by the Egyptian god Jehudi, more commonly known as Thoth, Thoth was one of the most important gods of ancient Egypt. He was worshipped before the age of the pharaohs, so before 5000 BC. Thoth was the god of magic, wisdom, and the moon. He was usually depicted as a man with the head of an ibis. Thoth created writing and hieroglyphics. He wrote the Egyptian Book of the Dead. The Egyptians claimed he invented science, religion, philosophy, and, of course, alchemy. Greeks call him the inventor of astronomy, mathematics, civilized government, and the alphabet. He wasn't even Egyptian. He arrived in Egypt many thousands of years ago, and he brought with him knowledge and wisdom from his own country. Thoth is from Atlantis.
The Greek god Hermes and the Egyptian god Thoth are two different names for the same being. The Egyptians strongly associated this being with gateways, doors, and portals between life and death, hence his relation to the number 42.
Another interesting quiz about the, quote, 42 vultures and their chicks, which are associated with the 42 nomes, or the administrative districts of ancient Egypt. This may also be a reference to the famed 42 text mentioned by Clement of Alexandria, allegedly written by Thoth Hermes. The scribe details their knowledge of the 42 vultures, and this is followed by an analysis of both the ibis and the baboon, which I imagine many of you know. Both of these animals were, of course, sacred to Thoth.
The duration of the film Blink Twice is 1 hour and 42 minutes. As we have covered in the past, the number 42 holds considerable spiritual significance for these Masonic illuminists, symbolizing gateways, crossroads, and avenues for profound change and transformation. In the 2004 movie Hellboy, they reveal a connection between secret military labs, human fish hybrids, and the number 42. We see the same pattern again in the Amazon Prime series, Fallout. In this network of underground labs called the Vault, we're shown the living quarters for their test subjects. Notice both addresses start with the number 42.
In this vault, the government is performing experiments, creating chimeras, human-animal hybrids, specifically humanoid fish creatures.
If you actually look at the bill that came through the Senate on this issue, it allows for human-animal hybrids, chimeras. I mean, it has all kinds of way out, almost science fiction type stuff that it allows, which are things we've been dealing with kind of behind the scenes. It never really got the attention of the public.
So Raw Story reports, quote, a Georgia Republican legislator named Tom Kirby introduced a bill he said would ban the mixing of human and jellyfish embryos.
Transhumanism. You better be on the
The spellcasters are already hard at work, preconditioning this next generation of the daughters of Zion to subconsciously consent to the defiling of their holy temples.
The new trailer for The Little Mermaid is generating extraordinary reaction, especially among Black girls.
She's like me. Many of them are mesmerized watching a cherished fairy tale character who looks just like them. 22-year-old actress Halle Bailey stars as Ariel in Disney's new live-action film.
She looks a lot better than
And all she
Haley
has to
Berry.
do is look at the excitement of the little girls embracing her. She's black.
Who made those girls do that line?
To subconsciously consent to the defiling of their holy temples.
I want to be a fish. I want to be a cat. I want to be an octopus.
Disenchanted. Now we are about to show you how they subliminally tell you, bit by bit, knowing most are unable to decipher their signs and symbols and connect the dots.
A new creature is born. The first plug-in hybrid V12 engine.
Get your new V12 engine.
Though the bull and thunder represent Baal in this Lamborghini ad, the creators of this commercial illustrate that it is the alchemy of their messenger god, Thoth Hermes, which creates and brings forth the hybrid creature according to the will of their supreme deity, Baal or Zeus. After showing a gateway with the number 42 on it and a spiraling staircase symbolizing the serpents of Hermes Caduceus, the narrator announces a new creature is born.
A new creature is born.
Then proclaims that what is being born and brought forth is a hybrid.
Hybrid V12 engine.
Because they have to tell you. They are showing the world that there are secret laboratories guided by their god of 42, where hybrids are being born, which will be used as a vehicle for profound change.
Sean Diddy Combs. Sean Diddy Combs.
Sean Combs.
The music mogul Sean Diddy Combs back inside a federal courtroom here in New York.
But the masters of misdirection and sleight of hand don't want you to notice their occult signs and symbols. They want you to focus solely on P. Diddy.
Yeah, I have an island.
Yep, I have an island. They want you to focus solely on Big Diddy. Wow, I've been saying all that shit forever.
Charges of racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking, and prostitution.
I got an island. It's called Love Island. So when I took you to Love Island, and then you realize that the plane landed, and then we had to float to another island. What was going through your head when we were going there?
Though P. Diddy was initiated, though he bowed and kissed the ring, all of his current problems began when he decided to bite the proverbial hand that feeds him.
Sean Combs served as brand ambassador for Ciroc, netting him over $60 million a year. But when the All About the Benjamins rapper and record executive decided to sue Ciroc's parent company, Diageo, for racial discrimination, he inadvertently positioned himself in direct opposition to some of the oldest, most powerful and dangerous European aristocratic family dynasties known to man. Ciroc is a brand under the ownership of Diageo, which is in turn owned by the Guinness family. Notably, Anita Patience Guinness from the Guinness family solidified an alliance with the Rothschild banking dynasty through marriage to Amschel Mayor James Rothschild, establishing a blood connection between the two blue-blooded families. In January 2023, Sir Ivan Menendez, the CEO of Diageo, was bestowed the royal knighthood by King Charles of England. This significant event coincided with Diddy's lawsuit and subsequent downfall. Solidified an alliance with the Rothschild banking dynasty through marriage to Amschel Mayor James Rothschild, establishing a blood connection between the two blue-blooded families. In January 2023, Sir Ivan Menendez, the CEO of Diageo, was bestowed the royal knighthood by King Charles of England. This significant event coincided with Diddy's lawsuit and subsequent downfall.
You have the experience with major corporations, like me. My particular experience with Beam Centauri, it was great in the beginning.
But we got the same insinuation. It was like, damn, nigga, Diddy must have made somebody mad for everybody to be coming after this nigga like this.
It's great for us to work for them. It's not so cool when you start to own things. You see what I'm saying? So I made a lot of money with them too. Like, there's a point, they did a deal that mirrored what Puffy's deal with Diageo was for Ciroc. So he didn't have ownership of that at any point, but he was getting a lot of money, like almost like $60 million a year at one point. So you see him go to daily on is when you see him have some issues. And these people have really strong relationships. Don't think that the civil case doesn't turn into a criminal case faster because he's making them uncomfortable. That's a big part of it. The spirits business is not governed. They got a discus board that they created, right?
And that's 50 Cent talking. Coming from Give It Your Dutch Try, homie, to now I know about the business because I was fucking with the motherfucking vitamin water. I know what they be doing, dog. These motherfucking elite motherfuckers ain't playing.
You got two companies that are $3 billion.
I mean, the glaring hole is that the indictment goes after sort of the bottom of what we learned from the Lil Rod lawsuit, goes after the guns and the drugs and a lot of the violence on Diddy's level. But notably missing is the name Lucian Grange, the CEO of Universal Music Group. He was named originally in Lil Rod's lawsuit with alleged clear evidence of him knowing about the parties and funding the parties. But later on, through mechanisms of power, he got his name removed from that lawsuit, is my understanding, and now he does not show up in the indictment against Diddy.
You see, the misguided and perverse Israelite P. Diddy, with all his business savvy and ego-driven ambition, miscalculated his importance to the sword-wielding Edomite power structure and was given a quick reality check by his Luciferian overlords who effortlessly removed the rapper's protection and untouchable status, leaving him vulnerable and exposed to the mountains of skeletons stashed in his closet.
But I feel like he might be the scapegoat here, and that the goal is to try to keep it stop it with him. Nothing more to see here. Don't go any higher. Don't look at how dirty and deeply this goes. Is that your sense of it?
They're going to cover up all of the connections and not go after the bigger fish and use Diddy as a scapegoat. And that seems likely based on.
And I was also saying the same thing forever. I'm like, nigga, fuck Diddy. Nigga, what about these other motherfuckers? You know what I'm saying? Now they want to catch on, but okay, it's all good.
Past history.
P. Diddy has always been a puppet of Clive Davis and his social engineering overlords. Clive Davis is the bisexual Jewish record exec who facilitated and funded P. Diddy's label, Bad Boy Records.
Bad Boy Records was used to start the Little Baby Boy programming.
Lil C's. Bad Boy.
Bad Boy Records was used to start the Little Baby Boy program.
Bad Boy.
Little Wayne, Little Durk, Little Gotti, Little John, Little Scrappy,
Bad
Baby.
And we can't forget Sada Baby, Baby, and Da Baby.
It's clear Clive Davis handpicked P. Diddy because of his degenerate proclivities and willingness to endure the elite's degrading initiation rites.
Star Island, like where P. Diddy stays or throw his freak offs at.
The disgraced sexual deviant P. Diddy was merely a curator and supplier, trafficking people as human merchandise to the royal houses.
We explore these connections in detail in our latest Patreon exclusive.
I don't even have a Patreon, but that's the end of that. I just wanted to drop that real quick. This was from the Shattered Paradise channel. Fair use. This is for educational purposes only. Educational and entertainment purposes only, but YouTube don't give a shit about that. They don't want me talking about this. They don't want me talking about this. But yeah, but I just want to get that out the way early in the morning. I mean, grand rising, early in the rising. I mean, shouts out to everybody coming through, and I catch y'all on the next one. Peace.